Welcome to the Kingdom Podcast. So glad you're here today. I have a very, very special guest that I know that you're going to enjoy. Mayra Flores is with us today. She is a immigrant from Mexico who is now running for Congress in Texas. And let me tell you, I read her bio, had a little conversation with her, and I am so excited, Mayra, that you are here on this podcast with us today. Your background is amazing. You're a respiratory
Thank you.
therapist. You chaired part of the Republican Party in your area, uh, and you're running against Democrats. That makes you a hero already. So take
Yes,
a
here in
few
South Texas,
minutes.
we actually fight Democrats.
That's right. That's
We don't
right.
have time to fight against other Republicans here.
That's right. And the amazing part is you're a woman, you're Hispanic, and you're
Thank
Republican,
you.
and you are doing an amazing job in causing the culture of America, the American dream to be preserved. That's the thing that I don't get a lot is whenever people, come legally or illegally to America, many of them, but we're not told by the media, but many of them come in looking for what America offers, and it gets sometimes perverted by the parties that are out there that want to take America hostage. But I want to give you a moment, Myra, if you would just tell us a little more in depth about yourself, and then we're going to jump into some things that I think are going to be very interesting for our listeners today.
Well, thank you for giving me a platform to share my story, my American dream story. I was born in Burgos, Tamaulipas, Mexico. Burgos, Tamaulipas is about 3 hours away from McAllen, where I currently live. And I was born there, raised there by my parents and grandparents. I was about 6, 7 years old when I came here to United States. My father is an American citizen, so it wasn't very difficult for him to bring us here, but
Mhm.
it took him many years of convincing to convince my mom to move to the United States. My mom loved living in Mexico, but that was because my dad was working here in the United States, and she
Yep.
was able to have that life in Mexico. But my dad wanted us to be close, so he convinced her and said, "Hey, look, in the United States, the girls will have better education, better opportunities. So I feel like I have an obligation." So he pretty much just said, "Nope, we're going to the United States." And I was 7 years old when I came here, and I'm forever grateful to my dad for taking that initiative. I don't know what my life would have been if I would have stayed in Mexico. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunities that we have here in the United States. So I'm really grateful to my dad. My dad did not have the opportunities that I had growing up as well. He started working at a very young age and just never really had an opportunity to go to school. I think he went to school until he was in second grade. After that, he had to work. So my dad practically has worked all his life, so he really instilled in us the importance of getting an education. But most importantly, he instilled in us, love for God, for our
Yes.
family, and then hard work. And both my parents were very hardworking migrant workers, so we moved a lot growing up. 6 months out of the year, we would live in South Texas. And 6 months out of the year, we would live in Memphis, Texas. Memphis, Texas is right by Amarillo. It's a small
Okay.
town. If you close your eyes, you'll miss it.
I didn't even know
But
there was a Memphis, Texas.
there's a Memphis, Texas, but it's an amazing small town. I have the best childhood memories there. We would
Wow.
work in the cotton fields in the summer. We call it
Woo.
hoeing. And those were the good days. I did not complain. Look, when you're young and you're making that type of money, you're happy. And I
Yeah.
was very happy. I would work alongside my sisters, my cousins, my uncles. So for me, it was fun, and at the same time, I was glad that I was able to make my own money to be able to buy the things that I wanted. So I
Wow.
honestly enjoyed it every single time. And then
That's
I would get home and still have energy to get on my bike. So I never really complained. And then I started school in August, and my parents would work at a peanut factory there in Memphis, Texas. And then season would end in December, and after school would finish for Christmas break, we would come down back to South Texas and then spend the Christmas break in Mexico with our grandparents. So that was pretty much my life until I
Wow.
was a senior in high school. I ended up graduating in South Texas in
Nice.
2004, and of course, my dad continued pushing me to get an education. I became a respiratory care practitioner. I got married at a very young age. I was 19 years old when I got married.
Wow.
We have two boys and two girls. My husband is a border patrol agent. He's been a border patrol agent for about 15 years now,
Wow.
and we've raised a beautiful family. And I just decided to, you know, give back to this amazing country that's given me so much. I've accomplished the American dream, but a lot of people think that I accomplished it when I became a member of Congress. And I had accomplished the American dream way before. Being a member of
That's
Congress
beautiful.
isn't actually the American dream.
That's right. That's
You know,
torture.
you run for office to keep the American dream alive. And
That's right.
I decided to get involved at the local level and learn about both parties. I really did not know much about the Republican Party or Democrat Party. I mean, I became a Republican back in 2010. I
Mhm.
Even though I had always had the conservative values, because people say, well, what changed? Well, nothing changed. I just realized that my values align more with
Yeah.
the Republican Party back in 2010, and that the Democrat Party just did not align with my values. But
Yeah.
you grow up being told that the Democrat Party is the party of the poor, it's the party that supports the Hispanic
Yep.
community, and that all these lies that you believe, so I just realized, thanks to a cousin of mine that brought it up to my attention. Her name is actually Elda, who I grew up in Memphis and then later on moved to South
Wow.
Texas. And she said, hey, I just don't understand, we grew up the same way, why are you voting Democrat?
Come on.
and this and this was back in 2008. I was like, well, I don't know, that's what dad said. And he's just like, you need to do your
That's
own
right.
research.
That's
And
right.
when
Most
I
people do
did,
that.
I came, yeah, and I did that research and I called her. I said, I'm Republican.
That's awesome.
That was in 2010. And I just became like obsessed with it, like in getting the message out there. So by 2016, I had convinced like 99.9 of my family to vote Republican, except my dad.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
I could not convince them in 2016. But in 2020, he saw how well his business was doing, his trucking business was doing, that he said, I don't I'm not a big fan, but I have to admit that my business has boomed under this
Yep.
administration. So he has my vote in 2020. So he
That's
ended up
wonderful.
voting for him in 2020. But now he's a huge Republican thanks to Joe Biden. He went from a hard Democrat and all his life to a moderate to now a strong conservative. And now he's like worried about the current situation and how
Yep.
we have to get President Trump reelected. And
Yes.
honestly, it was President Trump's loss in 2020 that really triggered me to run for office. I've
Yeah.
never ran for anything in my life.
Wow.
I'm a respiratory care practitioner, taking care of the elderly, taking care of children with disabilities, raising a family. And I said, why not? I did my research, and I remember people telling me, "But you were born in Mexico. I don't think you can run." And
Oh, no. You
I'll
can.
be honest with you, I said I Googled
Yeah.
it.
That's
I
awesome.
Googled
That's
it
awesome.
and Google says that I can. So
Yeah.
I'm going to file and I'm going to run. They're like, but you don't have the experience. You don't have the qualifications. And I said, all these people that are running our country have the so called qualifications, have
Yeah.
decades of experience. And what good has that done to our country?
And they got that
Absolutely nothing.
experience by just starting.
Exactly.
Gotta
So we
you gotta get
actually
somewhere.
need we actually need the everyday Americans to
That's
start
right.
running this country. When I decided to run and we won that special election, and I became the first Mexican born congresswoman ever elected in history, I remember thinking that first week, how did I get here? Right.
That's
And
so
then the
amazing.
next week, I was like, how did these people get here? Like, how did they get elected? You
Yep.
just realize that we are all capable of running this country.
We were talking about you being the first Mexican-born woman elected to the House of Representatives, and about how anybody can run and do what you did. That's an amazing feat, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. We actually need more of us in Congress. I have a lot of respect for lawyers, but we got plenty of them.
Too
We
many.
need we need more of the everyday Americans to start
That's right.
running this country. It's just very disappointing to see how many people we have there representing us that really don't understand what it's like living paycheck to paycheck, and
That's right.
how everything that they do impact real people, real lives every single day. And it's very sad because I've lived it. I know what it's like to be paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and the struggle is real. I can't imagine right now under this economy. Majority of Americans don't even have $1,000 in their savings account,
That's amazing.
and it's just heartbreaking, so we need more people that understand who we are, and that they're mindful and thoughtful when they make decisions that are going to impact all of us. So that's why it's
Love
so
it.
important that we also run for office. Why not? You don't have to start
Right.
at the level that I did, because honestly I think that knowing what I did now, I was like, man, if I would have known, I don't think I would have done it. I think God just
Yeah.
allowed me to see so much.
That's right.
And just made me believe, oh, you got this. So when I went in, I felt like I was already way in, that I couldn't get out. So I just had to swim, and I just
That's
had to
right.
keep
That's
keep on
right.
going. But there was a moment that I was like, what did I get myself into? It wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. It was a lot more difficult. So yeah, looking back, maybe I would have started at something local and then
Yeah.
moved myself up. But I decided to just run for Congress, right? But unfortunately, due to redistricting, we won a Biden for a district that had never been won in 150 years. But
Wow.
after redistricting, during the time that I was serving, it really became three times harder for us to win that reelection. So I was serving in Congress in one district and running in a different district.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was very, very difficult. But I knew that if I overperformed in a way, that it would give us a possibility to win it in 2024. And that's
Yes.
exactly what we did. It was a D14 after redistricting, and now it's back down to a D8. And our
Oh,
recent poll has us neck and neck. So we're
come
tight.
on.
And President Trump is actually up 1 point in the district. And
Nice.
that just tells you that this district continues to shift to the right. This is the most Hispanic, actually, district in the nation. So for
Really?
me, it is very important. And President Trump is up. He's
That's
up one
amazing.
point in the most Hispanic district in the country. Hispanics are shifting to the right
Yeah.
every cycle because they're realizing the Democrat Party took them for granted, does not represent our values of faith, family, and hard work. And they want the same things that we all want, right? We
Yeah.
don't need labels of Hispanics. No, at the end of the day, we're all Americans and we want the
American.
same things. We want prosperity. We want a
Yeah.
better opportunities for our children. And we see that all that has been taken away under this administration. I mean, we're not even spending the time that we used to with our families. Why? Because, you have to work harder. You have to take
Yep.
on a second job just to be able to provide for your children. Spouses are having to go back to work. There's no stay-home moms right now. There's very few.
Right.
Most of them just can't afford it. A lot of people say and encourage women, to be stay home. And look, I would love to be a stay home mom, and I'm sure many women would too, but we just
Mhm.
can't afford it. So
Right.
if we
It's
could,
very
we
difficult.
would, because there's nothing better than being
That's
able to be home and raising your
right.
family. But
Now, you said your husband's a border patrol officer. You're strong on the border. Your opponent is not is opposed to deporting people who are illegals who commit crimes. You're not, I assume. Talk to me about the border. What's happening at the border, and why should Americans be very concerned?
well, the border is a chaos, and it has been under this administration. I mean, millions of people have crossed illegally into our country. Unfortunately, the Biden administration, alongside with Vicente Gonzalez, have created this chaos. Right
Mhm.
on day one, they reversed all President Trump's policies, executive orders that were
Wow,
working, that had our
wow.
borders secured on day one. So he created this chaos, and he said it in 2021, everything's fine, the border secure.
Mm,
2022, the border secure, the border safe. 2023, the border safe. Now he's like, oh, I'm going to put in, this executive order, and I'm going to fix this. It was
at
fixed.
election
You
time.
broke it.
Yeah,
It
at
it
election
was
time.
fixed. Yeah, it was, but you broke it on day one when you came into office. And all of a sudden, he wants to pretend that he wants to fix it because elections are coming this November. He's realized that no one, it doesn't matter what background, no one is okay with this chaos at the southern border, and the amount of children, no one really talks about this, but the children that are being abandoned in the middle of nowhere, and then
Wow.
these children come in with a little paper in their pocket with the name and a phone number, and they're sent with their so called sponsors, family members. And 30 days later, you can't get a hold of these kids anymore because the sponsor is no longer picking up the phone. That phone number is now disconnected. There's no DNA test being done anymore under this administration. So, this administration that we know for a fact, they've lost track of over 85,000 children that we don't know where they're at. And I love this country. This is the greatest country in the world, but there's also a lot of problems in this country, and it's
Yeah,
called child trafficking, child
yeah.
pornography. It is the number one in this country. So these children are not safe here. We do need to put in legislation that put these monsters in prison for the rest of their life
I agree.
because these children are not safe. I'm not saying that these 85,000 children are being trafficked, but a good amount of those children, and I don't care if it's one, is
That's right.
being trafficked. And I would rather them be in our custody or be safe with their family back home, but not
Yes,
be not be trafficked and traumatized for the rest
that's
of their life. No child deserves that. I don't care what this child's status is, where they're from. We
right.
have an obligation when they're in our custody to make sure that these children are safe. And this
Un-
administration is the most inhumane administration we've ever had. I've never seen anything like this, not care about the safety of these children. So to me, if we care about women and children, we would secure the border and focus on legal immigration. And we would
Yeah,
also put in legislation that would put these monsters in prison for the rest of their life. And
that's
Mexico
what
is also
they're doing.
a problem. It's the number one provider.
Yeah,
So
I'm
we're the
actually,
number one consumer, but they're the number one provider.
yeah,
It's a
I'm a
problem that we have
proponent.
to deal with.
I'm a proponent of the death penalty for child trafficking. I, this is one of the
I
most
have
wicked things on the planet, and these people that
absolutely.
are intentionally harming children for their
Hmm.
own pleasure and their own gain, and it's evil, it's wicked, and it's coming straight out of the White House. And they're approving it, they're promoting it, they're probably running it. And for me, it is so unacceptable. So unacceptable.
I'm not
That's a
against
hot
it.
button topic for me that I could probably they the people would say, "Well, I thought he was a preacher." Yeah, but
Oh, I thought
that
you were
was
pro-life, right? They've mentioned to me. I'm like, we're talking about innocent children here, right? We're not
that's
talking
right.
about grown adults who purposely tortured children.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I don't believe in giving these monsters
No.
an opportunity. A lot of people, compare them to animals. Animals don't behave that way. I think
No,
it's an
that's right.
insult to animals to call them
That's right.
animals. They're just monsters. They're just
They're
evil.
monsters. They're
They're just
demonic.
they're just evil and they deserve to be in hell for the rest of their life. And if we
Yep.
could make that process a little faster, why not?
That's right.
So
We can, yeah, that's right. We don't want to get in too much trouble, but I'm on that same page that you are. Absolutely. So, Maya, the border situation there, who's coming across the border? We talked about children, but do you think that the government is allowing the migration across the border to bring people into this country that could harm our country or that has the potential to bring harm to the infrastructure of our country for political gain?
everything is coming in, good
Yeah,
and bad.
yeah,
Yes, there's good people coming in. Absolutely.
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
there's evil coming in as well. And we have plenty of evil, but we just don't know. That's why we have to secure the border. Yes, there's good people, but we want the good people to come in here
we do.
legally, right?
Yes,
So, yes, there's good people coming in, but there's also evil coming in. We have drug traffickers, terrorists coming in. We have everything you can think of coming in into our country. And if if 10 people came and knock on your door that they were starving and they told you, look, nine of us are good people. One of us is a murderer, but can you just let us come in? It's just one. Well, which one of you is the murderer? Well, we don't know. Would you let all 10 come in? Would you feed all 10, not knowing which one? I mean, it's just one murder. Nine
yeah,
of them are great people. Would you
yeah,
still let them come in your house? No, because you
no,
don't know which one it is. So
right.
it's the same thing. Most people are good, just wanting to come here and work hard and accomplish the American dream. But I'm also seeing a lot of people that are coming in illegally that are feeling entitled, that
Yeah,
they want to be housed and cared for months. Absolutely
right.
not. We need to prioritize the needs of the American people. We're not going
That's
to
right.
house you for months. What's
That's
wrong
right.
with you? So
I
you're
like
not
the
going to come
saying
here
the
and
other
be a
day.
burden to this country.
That's
That's an
right.
embarrassment. And it really embarrasses me because I immigrated to this country. I did it legally, but now they're putting immigrants all in one box,
Yeah,
right? Before, when
that's
you thought about immigrants, you thought about hard work, right? Hardworking. Now, when people think about immigrants, they think about all those people that are needing to be housed and cared for months, right? Because we spent about 450 billion last year in the housing and caring of illegal
wow.
immigrants, right? That was just last year alone. So now Americans have this mindset about immigrants, and I hate that because
Yeah,
most of us come here to bless this country,
that's
to
right.
add to this country. And it just frustrates me that these people come in and feel entitled when no, you're not entitled to nothing. If you want something in this country, you have to
Work.
work for it. You have to
That's
earn
right.
it. You
That's
are
right.
not going to be given anything. But you know what? I don't blame them. I blame our government. I
That's
blame
right.
their government. Their government is failing them, and our government is failing us because
That's right.
they're allowing it to happen. And I do believe that they do want to change, you know, the census. For example, when it comes to redistricting in 2030, a lot of people don't know this, but the way the maps are drawn for congressional districts is based on population,
Yeah,
right? So every member of Congress represents 700,000 people. Doesn't matter if they're
wow,
Americans or not. So who
wow.
are they representing? Shouldn't they represent only American citizens?
That's right.
Guess
I
what?
agree.
They're not representing all
That's am
American citizens because not everyone in that district is legally in the country. Now, we need to know, how many people live in our country for funding purposes, absolutely.
right.
But when it comes to drawing maps for redistricting for members of Congress should only represent Americans.
That's right.
That's the
I
way it
agree.
is in Mexico as well.
I
And the
agree.
census in Mexico, they ask you if you're a Mexican citizen. In Mexico, to vote, you have to have a voter ID as well.
Wow.
but
Not in the
here,
United States of
but
America.
not here in the United States of America.
It blows my mind.
It blows my mind that here we don't have a voter ID, but in Mexico you do. And
Yeah.
in the census, they ask you if you're a Mexican citizen and not here. So it's important that we know who's here, how many people are here for funding purposes. But when it comes to drawing congressional districts, they should only be representing Americans,
I agree.
period.
Now you're getting ready. You're actually in this race again, and you need to raise some money. You've raised a lot of money, several $1,000,000, which is
We have.
amazing.
Thank
Uh,
you.
your opponent is several $1,000,000 ahead, uh, but I
Actually,
believe.
no.
Okay, okay,
No,
uh,
we're actually out raising him. Actually,
good.
we're raising 3 times more money than him. On cash on hand, he has a
Okay,
little bit more than me, but I should catch up to him in this quarter.
how can
I
people help you do that? Tell us how to
Well,
contact you. Go to your website. How people can help support you, and you know, give the maximum that a person's legally
thank you.
can do that. Tell us how to
I
do that. We want to help you.
I appreciate it. Well, I know times are difficult. If you're able to put your family first, your family's needs, and your bills. But if you're able to, every dollar counts. If you can
Yeah,
donate $1, $5, $10, $100, thank you. I would really appreciate it. You can go to www.mayrafloresforcongress.com and you can donate what you can. And trust me, it makes a huge difference. Every donation goes to doing mailers, door hangers, because we're knocking doors every single
yeah,
day. We're also, buying yard signs and everything, just costs money,
yeah.
unfortunately. And then, of course, we're starting a commercial next month. Actually, we're going to
Wonderful.
start shooting a commercial next month, and that's going to be very important. So, yeah.
There's you made a statement there, and I'm so happy you made it that way. I see the humbleness of your heart. Put your family first. But I'm on the other
Always.
microphone, so let me say it this way: when you give to candidates like this, you are putting your family first. You are
Thank
putting
you.
people in a place where they can help make governmental legal decisions on how your family survives, how your family
Thank
thrives.
you.
And
Thank you.
so I believe that Myra is one of those that could sit at your kitchen table and talk to you about your children, about their schools, about your family, about all those things, and have in-depth conversation with you. Some of the people in the House of Representatives can't do that. And so I want to encourage everybody watching this, even if you're out of her district, even if you're out of state, you can give up to a certain amount. And I want to encourage you to give to her and go to her website, myraflores.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
We'll have all that information flowing here and down in the description and everything. But I believe this is one of the most important districts in Texas that needs to be won
Thank
because
you.
from a spiritual perspective, whenever we see somebody win in a district like this that has a heart and a mind for righteousness, it literally lifts blinders off of the district. There's a spiritual
Yes.
aspect to it. And so I want to encourage people in your district to do that, to vote for you, to get out to vote. 10 people that can help her, do that. Go to 10 people and say, get those 10 people to go to 10 people. And likewise, and you'll begin to see her shoot way past her competition. And just very honestly,
Absolutely.
her
And the best
competition.
and the best way we can protest is at the ballot box.
That's it. Go out to vote. And I like voting on election day. There's a couple of reasons for that. Fraud is a little less possible when you're voting on election day. So I want to encourage people to vote, 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 and get your family and your friends to vote for Myra as well. One more time, Myra, give us that information and give us a couple of the goals that you're looking for in your fundraising and what you need. You need people to knock doors with you. You need people
Yes.
to what sign wave with you. You need people to put their yard signs in their yard, or business people put your yard sign in their window.
And to take people to go vote.
Take
Everyone,
people to go
if
vote.
you live in South Texas, in Texas District 34, take 10 people to go vote during
Yes.
the election time. We are going to have, if we have to drag people to go
Yep.
vote, take them out to
Correct.
lunch and then go to vote. That's exactly what we need to do. This
That's
is
right.
truly the most important election of our lifetime. We just cannot afford physically, emotionally, mentally 4 more years of the
Yep.
Biden administration, our country just will not survive it. So
That's right.
we have to do this. We have to get out of our comfort zone. I know many people are comfortable. Good for you if you're comfortable, but if you choose to stay comfortable, your children in the future will be uncomfortable.
That's right.
So we
100%.
have to get out of our comfort zone and fight for this country. It's an obligation that we have. People,
Yep.
thousands of people did it before us, and now it's our turn. Now it's our turn,
I
and
don't
this
know.
country is worth fighting for. So, but we
I'll
need
say this.
everybody to just come out, and in order for us to overcome the fraud
Mhm.
that you're talking about, then we need to flood the polls.
That's right. I'd say this too to those that consider themselves Christians, believers in Christ. Not only do you have a right to vote, but you have a responsibility to vote. And I think
Amen.
that responsibility is a heavier weight on us, and we need to fulfill that responsibility. And I think we have a responsibility of being a voice of righteousness, telling people about the right platforms. Because, you know, I've heard people say, well, I don't agree with the platform of the Democrat Party, but I'm running as a Democrat. Mississippi, my home state, I don't live there now, but had a really good man running for governor on the Democrat side. But I told him, I said, I can't vote for you. You're a good man, but I can't vote for you because you're on a platform that is a death platform. It is for abortion, and I can't do that. And he said, "Well, I don't believe in that." I said, "But you will become someone that conforms to that platform." And that's what people don't understand is the candidates will conform to the platform that they run on. If they don't, they become a lame duck and they'll never win another election again. So
And I'll
Christian,
tell you that can go both. That can tell you that can sometimes go both ways. Look,
that's right.
I'm a Republican, but I'm not loyal to political parties.
Yep.
My loyalty is with God, with my family, and I will
Yes.
always do what's right for my district, what's right for the people that I represent, and not necessarily what's right for a political party. Because at the end of the day, the people that get me elected are the American people, right?
That's right.
So we have to do what's right. And I hope that, the American people put aside, right, every everything and just put this country first, their
That's right. That's so
children.
good.
That's what we have to do. It's not, we don't need a red wave, a blue wave. No, we need a red, white, and blue wave. We need an
That's right.
American wave, right? We
That's
need a godly wave. That's what we
right.
need, in this country. We need Americans to come together and unite and just put our differences aside. We can, fight in the ring later on our differences,
That's
but
right.
right now we have to unite and work on what we actually do agree with, and that's
That's right.
the love that we have for our family, for God, for this country.
Well, Myra, I want to say thank you so much for
Thank
running for
you.
the House of Representatives. I thank
Thank you.
you for your time today. And I encourage people again to look into the descriptions and help her. We believe in you and we're thankful that you're doing
Thank
what
you.
you're doing.
Thank
And
you
so,
so much. I
yes, ma'am. Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for being with us today.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you.